Hey everyone, it's Neon Polygons, and today I want to give you a quick look at a really cool accessory for the Casio Loopy. It's called the Magical Shop Express. So I was actually very lucky to pick this up from Japan, and it is new in box. So as you can see here in the price tag, it says 14,800 yen. So that's approximately about like $150 almost. It's kind of surprising that I was able to find this brand new, but when these came out, they were actually very prevalent. But now when you try to get one of these guys, they actually don't even work anymore. So, I'm actually about to open this up for the first time and see if this unit works. And hopefully it does. I actually have a number of these units. I actually even have one here, but this one doesn't work. So hopefully this is my first working ever magical shop that I've ever had. So let's give it a shot. Okay, so here I have my Casio Loopy and magical shop all attached. So just to kind of explain this whole setup, what this basically does is the magical shop is essentially an add-on that you add to the Casio Loopy, where you can essentially take any AV video input source and essentially take a screenshot of it. And then what that would do is you can then, the magical shop will then capture that screenshot, and then you can do a bunch of editing tricks to it, and then essentially print out that screenshot with all the editing tricks you've done to it via the magical shop and print it out as a sticker. So the setup I have over here is I've actually attached an old camcorder to the Casio magical shop, which will then, I'm going to screenshot the footage that I have from an old VHS tape and then put it into the magical shop, then do some like photo editing to it, and then essentially print it out to as a sticker here on my Casio Loopy. So let's give it a shot. And as you can see here, I'm just going to press play right there. And this is an old video I shot from literally 12 years ago. So I'm going to pause the video. And the next thing I do is I essentially captured a screenshot on the Casio Loopy. So you'll see it says here, do I want to take this shot? I'll say okay or no. And here's the weird thing. So what I've noticed with the magical shop is when you do the screenshot, it actually does it in black and white for whatever reason. So I'm going to click OK. And, obviously it's not like a clean capture because this is, a shoddy old VHS tape. But there it is. So I then click OK. This is the image I want. And then what I can then do is do a bunch of hacks to that image. So let's just say over here, I'm going to do, I don't really know much of Japanese, but let's say I'm going to actually put a caption on it. And you can actually choose this in English. Hold on. So I'm going to just say test. T-E-S-T. Okay. And I believe this button means okay. So there I just said okay. Put as a caption bubble. And I can move it around. I can change the colors of it. So let's change it to that. And click OK. And let's go print this bad boy out. Single. OK. So it's already ready. So I have really no idea how I got to that point, but essentially what I then did was, let's print out this picture. Oh, well, I guess I effed it up. Come on. Now, unfortunately for me, I can't read Japanese, so I'm not really quite sure what it's saying every time I go into the menu system. I'm gonna do this one more time, put a little quick hack. just gonna say test. T-E-S-T. Okay, just add some color effect to it. Okay, so finally got to the print configuration, and it's gonna print 1 of 1. Hopefully this does it. Yep. So let's see how the screen capture turns out. And wow, that's a pretty nice capture right over there. Let's see. So that's the screenshot. As you can tell over here, it's a little bit orangey. And I think that's just really because of the bad video the bad video source that's being put into the Magical Shop. But yeah, this is a pretty cool add-on. Essentially what this does is it essentially turns your Casio Loopy into kind of those Japanese photo booths that you would see popular in arcades in the 90s. Do I think it's worth it? Absolutely. I actually think this is probably the main reason to actually get a Casio Loopy. Unfortunately, as I said before, these units are very hard to come by. In fact, I bought this brand new. So this is actually almost a 25-year-old new old stock unit. And this is probably the 4th Magical Shop that I've actually, obtained. Every unit that I've obtained before has usually been busted or essentially faulty. Usually what happens is it will turn on, it can work as essentially a pass-through for putting your games in it, but for whatever reason when you try to do a screenshot capture, they just don't do it. And so and I can see with this unit that I have right now that it's actually not perfect. I'm going to try some other video input sources, and hopefully they turn out cleaner. But as of right now, I think this is a pretty cool add-on. And then in terms of trying where to find these guys, unfortunately, your best bet is eBay, and they don't come around often. Now, I was lucky. I actually got this unit at the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo here in New York. Most people don't know what this unit is, so a lot of people aren't trying to buy it. So I was able to obtain this fairly cheap. Now, again, I probably wouldn't say go start searching Retro Concert, because most people, most vendors probably won't be selling this because they don't even know what it is. And so your best bet, again, is eBay to try to go find one of these guys. Now, my opinion of the Casio Loopy, or the Magical Shop for the Casio Loopy. I do think if this add-on was popularized with the Casio Loopy, the console itself would have had a better understanding of its purpose and its uniqueness. This is a very rare item. It's a very unique item that most people rarely come across. But when I see a lot of videos on YouTube in retrospect about the Casio Loopy, it's generally in a very negative context. Most people tend to think that the Casio Loopy was a failure and kind of just not placed in the right direction because most of its games were not, in the sense, traditional video games. If you had seen what you could do with the Magical Shop, you would understand and realize that the Casio Loopy was about creativity and not about playing, your typical 2D platforms or 3D games of its time. And so for that, I actually have a lot of respect for the creation of the Casio Loopy and a deeper understanding of its purpose and how it could have actually found its own niche in the video game market. When I see the things that you can do with many of the games of the Casio Loopy, and particularly with the Magical Shop, you'll understand that it was really meant for, I guess, players, in the sense, to actually express their creativity through artistic means.